Welcome back to .NET Rocks. I'm Carl Franklin.
And I'm Richard Campbell.
We're here in Sydney, Australia.
We are.
NDC, Sydney.
Not going to do any Aussie accents. It's not good.
No, I won't. I will, however, point out that NDC stands for the Norwegian Developers Conference.
It used to.
Yeah, it used to. And we're in Sydney.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
Like Norway, only different.
Is it just N?
Yeah. Or new?
New? Nasty? Narwhals? I don't know.
Narwhal Developer Conference.
Yeah. So anyway, started out in Oslo, in Norway, and they've been to London and Sydney.
Right.
Yeah. So here we are. We're here with Adam Stephensen. We're going to be talking to him in just a few minutes about bots and all that stuff. And definitely follow us on Twitter. I'm at Carl Franklin. He's at Rich Campbell. Send us a tweet, and you better follow the check-in rules, or else your ass is going to get reamed out.
You're channeling your inner Torvalds.
I guess so, yeah.
That's good.
All right, let me formally introduce Adam. Adam Stephenson loves to talk.
Yep.
Oh, that's it.
A lot.
That's the whole bio.
Yeah, that's it. I like to talk.
Good.
We've only got an hour, right?
Yeah. You'll hear him around the place sharing his passion for technologies, patterns, processes, and getting software shipped. Azure, Agile, AI, .NET Core, DevOps, Scrum, Clean Code, and continuous delivery, to name a few. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show.
You ever heard of that Trump Cash bot?
No, but I would love to build it. That's the. I want to get.
I'd love to have the account that it's connected to that can afford to just let a bot decide
When to buy and sell.
Yeah.
It's remarkably easy to do that now.
I know.
That's the AI thing. It's a good 20 minutes
You
work.
too can automate your ability to lose money.
That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And nobody's going to get in the way of you spending money on anything.
Nope. We will let that happen.
Yeah.
I feel like chatbots are, following the Gartner, curve. Are we in the trough of disillusionment with chatbots right now?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Look, I've been saying I've got a bit of bot fatigue.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's that. So I've kind of been spent most of the last 12 months. So my general role is just helping people with Azure, but I didn't anticipate that I would be working in government agencies, universities, and all of these, banks and financial institutions on chatbots, because traditionally they're not the ones who are pushing the envelope. Usually they're being brought along with
conservative,
new technology kicking and screaming.
What is this mobile you speak of?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got bot fatigue in using them because people who build them, it's a lot of fun to build a bot. Let's face it.
It is,
and especially to test it and to talk and chat and see if you get anything intelligent back. But man, I tell you, when it comes down to it, you're on a website and a thing pops up and says, "Hey, chat with," enter a name here. Yeah. And the first question I ask is, "Are you a bot?"
Yeah.
Now the bot's not going to say, "Why, yes, I am." And if it's a person, they're going to say no. So it's a silly question to ask. But still, I like to mess with them. I'm like,
you want to know.
Yeah.
If you're not a bot, then why did you just give me a recipe for coffee cake? I didn't ask for it.
And it's one of the really big problems is that, it's a great fun technology, but developers have built everything bad. We did terrible things with access forms. We did terrible things with Windows forms.
Hey, speak for yourself, man.
Did you really do purple text on an orange button? Is that what you did? Did you do that?
Because I could.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you should have.
Yeah.
It's the same with bots. People are, because it looks like raw text, developers are building it without getting designers in.
Right.
And there's no concept of the user experience involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a technology fail. I think it's a design fail.
By the way, speaking of Windows Forms, I just built an app with Windows Forms.
Wow.
And for those who aren't, who are new to .NET, Windows Forms is kind of like WPF, but it works. And, it's not focused on it's not focused on what it looks like. It's focused on productivity, and that's
Well, because
absolutely.
the look and feel is sort of set, right?
It's set.
They have set a design metaphor. You really can't get away from it.
Yep.
Just tell us where you want your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But
you still have an opportunity to make bad decisions, right?
you sure can.
Like scatter buttons all over the page. And
Yeah.
Well, it's really easy if you just put it all in the one form. If you
There
have
you
the form.
the form of doom. Yes.
Before spas were spas, we had WinForms.
Yes. We hit the WinForm options panel with every option.
Just can't run them anywhere.
No.
Except your machine at your desk. Yeah. So what's the latest in bots? If you've got bot fatigue, there must be something new.
Well, look, I think for everybody else, it's just after 12 months, I've built a lot of bots, and I think it's a lot. We're seeing everyone's doing the same. Everyone's on the same journey at the moment. It's the very simple. I'm going to get some productivity by taking all of my documentation and surfacing it as a bot so people can find it, and that's
FaqBots.
FaqBots, and then going from the FaqBot and then going, well, now I can start building stuff in Azure. There's kind of the general path is everyone's going, I'm going to do a FaqBot, and then I'm going to start building some systems where my bot can be a bit smarter and I can start leveraging some extra things. So taking, automating the insurance. So I actually had this experience. So got a new car, went, and the insurance process was terrible. So I had to call up 3 companies. I had to fill in a paper form. Then I had to, it was generally...
Did they ask you to fax it? That's always
and it's, I need you to fill in this form and then scan it and send it back to us. I'm like, you're joking, aren't you?
Right.
No, that's how we give you an insurance quote. Wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
1994 called and he says you're going to be out of business soon.
Well, I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Sent
And no,
the
this
3
is one of the
old
big
guys.
insurance companies in Queensland. I'm like, it can't work this way.
Wow.
And but yeah, so going through and doing all of those things and automating those processes and making great, making big differences to productivity. So all of that stuff's really fun. But I think the thing that gets me going about bots is, we're kind of very structural at the moment. I'm waiting for the Shazams and the Spotifys. We haven't seen. We're seeing corporate adoption of current systems. We're seeing efficiencies. But I kind of feel like going back to the beginning of the mobile revolution, we didn't see Spotify and Shazam and, Uber.
I think
Netflix
Alexa
coming.
might be in that category. I mean, it's very easy to make an Alexa skill, and you're sort of tapping into a market. That's a good alternative to sort of rolling your own bot, is to just use a framework like that where you don't have to deal with any of the natural language processing. You have slots that have different ways that they can be expressed, and you get control. I think the most important thing about building a bot isn't the interface to the speech or whatever, but it's just the context, right? Keeping a context that's intelligent, and you can do that without any kind of Alexa or Cortana or Siri or front end or text or speech or any of that.
Definitely.
But just making something that keeps a context and actually allows you to, it remembers what you're doing, and instead of having to ask you all this stupid questions over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's definitely the productivity things around it.
Yeah.
But I'm still looking for there's bots that keep, now that I'm in the bot mode, I keep thinking of new bots all the time. So I'm like, I drive and I use OK Google whenever I jump in the car because it helps me navigate around the best route.
Right.
And I say, OK Google, navigate me to Bondi. OK Google, show me coffee shops on my route.
Right.
It's a good
And
thing
then-
my phone isn't on.
Yeah. And then I've got Bean Hunter that tells me the good coffee in, around wherever you are in the world.
Yeah.
And then, I've got other apps where I can go, I want to book my coffee ahead. I want to roll all that into a bot. I want to be able to
those
go.
are all separate things.
They're all separate things.
By the time you've gone through all those steps, you've probably had a car accident.
That's it.
Yeah.
Where I should be able to say, I want to go to Google. I want to go to Bondi. Show me the good coffee. And it should
get
go.
me a good
Get me a good coffee, and I want it ready as I drive past.
Yeah, I want a flat white on the way, and literally have. And I stopped thinking bot now. Like that's an agency kind of thing.
Oh my
now
God.
It says, pick what coffee shop, figure out how to order it, order the thing you like. So the next thing it says to you is, I've updated your navigation. Stop here to pick up your.
You guys have
Absolutely.
first world problems.
This is very first world.
If you can't go through a drive-through and wait 3 minutes for your latte, no, I want to go.
Yeah.
As I'm driving past.
I want the good coffee.
No.
Well, there you go.
We really want to get to the next level, right? You actually want the drone to intercept your car while you're still driving, right? You just pick your hand out the window and the coffee is lowered into it.
Absolutely.
There you go. You didn't even change gears.
No.
That's funny.
And drones is my next thing.
Yeah.
Really? Oh yeah, absolutely.
How about drones controlled by bots?
That's actually the
Stop.
next thing.
Turn around. Come back here.
You're joking, but that is actually my next thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why not, right? The question is, who's got access to the bot, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think if I was going to change careers now, I think AI ethicists
Yeah.
aren't going to be looking for jobs anytime soon.
No, we're going to have a whole lot of ethical crises.
Alexa, launch 1,000 drones now. Go to Bob's house.
Who owns 1,000 drones?
I don't know. Somebody.
It's a couple of bucks.
I actually am about to, so I found a drone swarm. So you can actually order drone swarms, so you can individually program all of these drones to go and do amazing things.
Can they have do like acrobatics and aerial shows and things like that and dancing?
Well, my thing, so I live in Queensland where all the beaches and stuff are.
Sure.
And, you know, sharks, and I spend a lot of time in the water, and sharks are a real concern. And there's a big environmental debate about whether you put nets out or how you deal with shark alerts. And I'm like, what I want to do is I want to use like cognitive services, very easy to train a model. There's a heap of research on spotting sharks. I want a drone net.
Right, just flying by on a regular basis.
I want them hovering out there around me, quartering off it, and I'll just tell you if a shark's coming.
Right.
And that's not hard.
No, it's completely doable. I mean, it's
Very
a question
doable.
of, is that what we want our beach to look like? Is, you know, the buzz of these.
You know, the key is you have to own your own beach. And then you can do whatever you want.
Well,
Who would do that?
I thought this was far out, and I said it to a friend, and he's like, oh, you're just, you know, and like people do when you start talking about AI, they're like, oh, you're a crazy tech guy, that's never going to happen. Anyway, a week later, I Googled it. We're actually using drones for shark recon. We're not doing the net concept.
Yeah.
We're actually flying recon missions with drones now. We've actually got trials going.
Yeah, no,
and
I've seen great videos of from drones following a shark because they stand out in the water really well.
Yeah.
I saw a video, and I can't remember where, but of a bunch of drones in the sky, and they're all tilted like this, and they're acting as pixels and doing sort of a portrait or a picture in the sky, and then they would reconfigure and go to a different place, and then you'd see another picture against the sky.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's all just mapping and coordinates and stuff. It's there's nothing really difficult
software.
about
We know
it.
software.
We can do software. We can do that.
But you know, one big gust of wind,
It's a big mess.
and suddenly you don't recognize the Mona Lisa anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of that kind of patrolling because I would also think you could probably pick up on people in distress.
Sure.
Absolutely.
You know, arguably, before it's hard for a lifeguard at that low angle to recognize someone who's foundering out in the water or caught in the riptide or anything like that, compared to something that's a couple hundred feet above and just in the perfect position to see it.
Definitely.
This is totally off topic, but on topic of finding people in the water, they've, and I say they, I don't know who they is, but I imagine it was the Coast Guard, used to use pigeons that have really keen eyesight, and they were trained to see these little red dots, and when they pecked at the red dots, they would get food or whatever. So they'd put them on a glass-bottom boat and just looking around, and when they saw, you know, a red life jacket or whatever, something that the human eye couldn't see, they'd be like pecking at it and pecking at it. So they would actually use pigeons to save people's lives.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's complete. I made it up. No, I didn't. Actually, I saw it on QI. It was a Stephen Fry thing.
That kind of pivots me back to the bot conversation. Is that, you know, we've got this. So Microsoft's got this Microsoft Health Bot. Have you guys seen that one?
No.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. You can actually go in there and the idea is you type in a symptom. So I went in there and I just made something up this morning in my demo. I'm like, my eyes are bleeding.
Nice.
You got cancer.
And you go through and it asks you 5 or 6 questions, and then it ends up giving you a selection of diagnoses.
Right.
And I think that's one of the really interesting concepts around bots, is taking those things that's a massive amount of complexity. You think about the logic behind that of navigating all of those different symptoms and coming to a conclusion.
It's a classic expert system in AI,
classic expert
which
system.
I don't know whatever happened to expert systems, but
Turns out they weren't all that expert.
well, maybe.
But
Maybe the people who programmed them.
yeah, well, it is. I mean, it is interesting to think in those terms that a lot of these things are coming back around again.
Yeah.
And definitely a different class. Like we talk about the FaqBot.
Yep.
The expert system bot is a much more advanced fact because but again, it's the thing. What I don't like about FaqBots, was kind of boring in the concept of FaqBot, is that there is no context. Each question just stands on its own.
Right.
Where a diagnostic bot like that, an expert system bot, it's all about the context.
Yeah, and it can also use telemetry from your medical devices and all of that stuff as well to actually give you some more insight.
Absolutely. And we got to take a brief break for this most important message. And we're back. It's Richard Campbell and Carl Franklin here in Sydney.
Yay.
It's .NET Rocks. We're talking to Adam Stephenson.
Talking bots and sort of future-minded. I'm wondering, what's the coolest bot that you've created in the last few years?
The coolest bot's my coffee bot. I just haven't made it yet.
The best bot is the one you haven't written.
Is the
The one you're working on
So
now.
my dad always said to me, he always said, son, in a relationship you can be two things. You can either be right or you can be happy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've had that my whole life. And so when I first started building bots, I said, Dad, I'm going to build the right or happy bot. And so it's just a bot that sits there and listens. And using cognitive services, it takes everything that's said and it streams it off to cognitive services and it logs it all. And then it runs sentiment analysis across it all. Because it has upon occasion happened that my wife said, has been upset, and I'm like, oh, I've got to go to Norway for a week. And she's like, you never told me about that. And I'm like, no, I did. But now I've gone and built something that can actually record everything I say.
This is a great thing for men.
And it becomes searchable.
That's so good for women.
So that I can actually find it. And that was actually ridiculously easy. It turns out that it's highly illegal.
Yeah.
Little detail.
Sure.
But I went to Dad and I said, hey, this is actually really easy to do.
This is something my wife's been doing for me, you don't remember, it was back in 2009, Saturday, September 4th, when you said, and not going to argue with that, but I guess if there was a recording of it,
That's
it
right.
would be even more convincing.
And I think that's going to be really, I think that's, looking to the future, I think that idea of having ambient, so our bots are going to be really popular when, ambient listening is going to just be a thing.
Right.
With home automation, we're going to expect to be able to say, turn off the lights, turn on the telly, shut the, turn this on, turn that off.
Command-based stuff. But where I would relate that to, you're seeing this more and more, is the dash cams in cars.
Absolutely.
Right? This idea that when you are driving your car, there is a recording being made, quite possibly forward and backward all of the time. It's in a loop, it's going to throw it away. But if there's an incident, you have that recording.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so at some point, we're going to have a dash cam strapped to our foreheads, essentially.
Definitely.
Right? Like it's just like you are always keeping a recording of yourself. What you do with it after that is another question entirely.
Yeah.
And it's very Black Mirror. If everything is searchable, there's a lot of benefits to that.
It's just a question of, I like the fact that it does go away over time.
Absolutely.
Right. And I'm big on, I've got the Nest cams for the wildlife stuff. Like I always like showing footage of bears in my backyard, especially in Australia, because you guys think you have scary animals. And then I throw a 300-kilo bear walking through my backyard. Apparently I win at that point. But the Nest cam comes with a 10-day retention.
Yep.
So you can go back, and then after that, it just goes away unless you mark a clip and say, keep that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting to think in terms of that. And again, I almost think that's outside of the bot space. That's getting into this sort of personal agent kind of what I'm very fixated on what comes after the smartphone. Right? Now that the smartphone is propagated to absolutely everybody, right? And we're all cyborgs now. We all have digital extensions to ourselves. What are the things that smartphones don't do well? And that, whatever the next thing is will cover off those things. And I think this is one aspect of it.
Definitely. And I guess when I think about bots, I'm actually thinking about just conversational agents in general. So I want the next UI is kind of that no UI.
Right.
It's, I don't want to have a phone or even a watch. I just want to be able to have, ambient listening. And I'm going to expect that in my car and in my house and in my office. I'm just going to have things that are listening that I can converse with and actually make things happen the way I want them to happen.
Right, and are helping to anticipate need.
Definitely.
Right. There was briefly an app that came out for the iPhone, and you gave it a bunch of permissions, and it just sort of tracked your GPS behavior, your locational behavior, and ostensibly the app was for optimizing gas prices for you. And so what it would do is figure out when you were driving, where your home was, where your work was, where you shopped, and when you went to gas stations and filled up. And so that fairly quickly, within a few days, you didn't have to tell it any of those things. It would derive all of that, and it had a pretty good idea of how full your gas tank was. And so you got to a point where it's like, you're going to be heading to work soon, because you always had to work around this time, and you've got less than a quarter tank of gas left. This is the cheapest gas prices.
That's awesome.
Well, it also scared the snot out of people because, so quickly this bit of software was able to derive all that information just by how you moved around. And then the app went away. So, I mean, we've got a creepiness factor here, right? This is sort of this uncanny valley of we emit enough information that all of our core behaviors and an awful lot of information could be derived by just watching us.
Absolutely. And I think that's we saw that with Google Glass. That is a piece of technology that was amazing.
Yeah.
But it's just socially not acceptable.
Well, once upon a time, the smartphone wasn't socially acceptable either. Like,
Absolutely.
I think that...
Like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. You're at work. We expect you to be socially unacceptable at work.
It's true. Give me a few minutes. I'll be right back.
The whole glass hole thing in my mind was how you rationalized that you didn't like it. Right? I think you made up your mind very quickly when you put on a Google Glass, whether you liked it or didn't. And the vast majority of people didn't like it. It was a pretty limited product. And the moment you did, once you were there, at least subconsciously, you didn't like that product, you found reasons not to like it.
Absolutely.
Right? And so one of the great ways to discard any piece of technology is to declare it douchey, right? Got a blue glowy thing on your ear, right? Douchebag, right? There you go. That's not important. They can't use that anymore.
Can you say douchebag on .NET Rocks?
I don't know. It's a good
I don't know.
question. But I think when the visor is good enough, it's going to do exactly what the smartphone did. For a long time, smartphones were poo-pooed until you handed it to someone and it grabbed them.
Absolutely.
It just took. I got lucky that I did this the right way, right? The daughters got smartphones first. I always had one, but it was a weird geeky thing for me. The daughters want them, so they get them. Now they're coming to the dinner table with them and annoying the wife. Right? And she's like, I think we need to make a rule, no phones at the table. I'm like, I'm not opposed to that, but before you do that, and I got her a smartphone. And then we all had smartphones at the table, and everybody was happy.
All right, now everybody's got one, now shut up.
That's it. Well, but it worked that way. It's like, what does social acceptance look like?
Yeah.
When we're all on board. That's all it is. So the moment the product is compelling enough, even if it looks, you think about a HoloLens, which okay, I'm wearing giant ski goggles of doom, with the weird brain surgery cap attached to it.
But I'm having more fun than you are.
Well, that would be exactly it. I wore my Google Glass out a couple of times, and the reaction fairly consistently was, can I try it?
Yeah.
Now, if the experience when I put it on them was, holy cow, and now I can't get it back from them, social acceptance.
Yeah.
But if the experience was, what the heck is this? Boom, I'm a glass hole. Right? So I think that's the same line. We're going to cross that same line.
Yeah. Hey, Richard.
Yeah, buddy.
Guess what time it is now?
It must be that happy time again.
Yeah, it's time for me to read the joke that I just wrote 5 seconds ago.
Sorry. Is that the joke you wrote?
That's not the joke.
Okay, because...
Yeah, it's time to replace the bad bit bot with a big butt bot because I like big butt bots and I cannot lie. And that's not a bad bit.
No, that's not bad at all. And we can make this an edit point too, but I don't know if people know, but it's like he writes the joke before he reads it every time.
That's
right?
why I was being socially unacceptable.
Yeah, you were on your phone. I knew exactly what you mean. We've been doing this together for a while. It's like the 3 or 4 minutes before the main
All
body
right,
break.
you're selling it a little too much. It wasn't that funny, actually.
That was pretty good. Well, you know what I was more impressed
great.
with? You alliterated it well.
Well, that's always makes
Delivery.
a good joke.
It's about the delivery.
You punched it out. It's
True.
good.
All right, well, it's actually time to give away a $200 Amazon gift card, compliments of Progress Telerik to one lucky member of the .NET Rocks fan club. But first, let me tell you about the most comprehensive developer toolkit for building modern apps on the market today, Telerik DevCraft. With more than 1,100 Telerik.NET and Kendo UI JavaScript components and controls, you can easily build modern, high-performant web, mobile, and desktop apps, as well as chatbots. The toolset also includes reporting solutions, automated testing, and productivity tools, and comes with a range of support options. New this year is a free online training program for all license holders, and with this, alongside thousands of demos with source code, comprehensive docs, and a full assortment of Visual Studio templates, you'll be up and running with the Progress Telerik and Kendo UI tools in no time. Download a free 30-day trial today at telerik.com/download.
Well, all right, buddy. Who's our winner?
Today's winner, Richard, is Sunny Gulati.
Congratulations, Sonny.
Yeah, you can give him a round of applause.
Yeah, you don't need a golf clap. Real clap.
And Sunny just won a $200 Amazon gift card from Progress Telerik just for being a member of the .NET Rocks fan club. And if you'd like to be a member, go to .NETRocks.com, click on the big Get Free Stuff button, answer a few questions, and join the fan club. We have thousands of members all over the world, and every show we like to give away stuff from our sponsors. And every December, we give away a $5,000 technology shopping spree to one lucky member of the fan club, but you got to sign up if you want to win. All right, Adam, it's your turn. If you had $5,000 to spend on technology today, what would you buy?
Well, I think I'm on the
Bunch
drone.
of drones.
I'm on the
Drone.
I'm on the drone mission. So, but I don't want a bunch of drones. If I had $5,000, I get my commercial drone license.
Yeah. Is that
Is that like a pilot license?
It's like it's actually a pilot's license, so it's like $4,000 here in Australia. So
That'd be a big drone.
It's not cheap. It would be a big drone, but there's lots of stuff you can't do with drones. So you can't do demos of a drone. You can't fly a drone within 30 meters of people unless you've got a commercial license.
Wow.
Can't fly it overnight.
Not even a little one?
Not even a little one.
Really?
Can't fly them over beaches. So all the things I want to do with drones need your license for them.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's any different in the States.
The reason that got me onto it is I saw the demo of, so Microsoft's partnered with DJI.
Yeah,
right.
And we're doing
kind of dominate the space.
Yeah, and we're kind of doing some like inspections of power lines and stuff. And big keynote, and the product manager couldn't actually do the demo. He had to get a commercial pilot out to actually fly it.
Wow.
And I'm like, I want to do my own demos.
Yeah.
There's nothing like coding a demo and people going, oh, he can actually code. I want to fly my own drones in my demos.
Yeah.
So commercial pilot's license, commercial drone.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, very good.
I got one of the DJI drones, the Spark, the little one, for my 50th birthday. A couple years ago now.
Yeah.
Getting old. And I'm ready to upgrade to a bigger one. You have to appreciate it. It's like
Bigger birthday?
Oh, well, I'm getting a bigger birthday every year. That happens whether I want to or not.
Big bot.
You just get used to flying it further and further away from you.
Yeah.
So you want the more range and the
Sure.
that stuff.
Sure.
So I want to control it with my brain.
Right.
So it comes back to that. It comes back to I want to do everything with it. I want hands free.
Right.
You could do that with an emotive headset.
Be a good question.
Emotive, and I think that's the next bot generation as well. Is that I want to be able to control whether it's my drones or I want to be able to talk to my conversational agents. Well, it's Facebook's the furthest ahead with this, right?
Okay.
They can do 8 words a minute. They can read from your brains.
Wait a minute.
There's a catch.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Facebook is software. What are you talking about?
So there's a project at Facebook, and there's a catch with it though. They have to insert a chip in your brain.
Okay, I wondered where the hard link was.
Yeah.
So particularly they're working with people with ALS.
Right.
And so people who are having challenges. But these are it's the next generation. You can wear a helmet now and type it like I think it's a letter every couple of seconds.
Wow.
Just wearing a headset.
Wow.
But all of these things are today's extreme technology is tomorrow's accessible technology.
Yeah.
Or abandoned, one or the other.
Or or it's the Google Glass. No one's going to go get a chip in their head today.
Yeah, my comparison is always, Apple Newton versus Apple iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Like the same company made both products. Which one succeeds?
Yep.
The one with the pen. No. The Newton was the first pen computer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of them. I mean, there was a bunch of PDAs at the time.
Yeah.
Newton certainly had a style about it, but it's I just like reminding myself that there's no guarantees on any of this stuff, and I still feel that way about chatbots. Like I think this current model, having experimented with a bunch of them as a consumer as much as a developer, it's just like I don't seem to be that good.
There's a lot of bad bots.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are getting it wrong, and it's.
I really think it comes down to context and memory, and not taking every sentence as if we had never spoken before.
Absolutely.
And that's difficult to do because you now have to filter out what's significant and what's not.
Yeah.
I would love a bot. I would love a bot to say, hey, that reminds me of that thing that you were talking about a half an hour ago.
Right.
Like real people
So
do.
maintain that context long term.
Yeah.
And not to put too fine a point on it, but the new Telerik chat controls.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to look at those and realize in the text interface there is cases where like dates.
Yeah.
Where it's so much easier to select a date than it is to speak a date and get it right.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to think in terms of there's still a UI needed for certain cases.
And I think that the number one mistake that people make with bots is they let developers design bots instead of going, we need a user experience person to go and talk to users and find out what a user's going to say, what a users want to do.
Right, and go through those use cases a few times and come to the developer with this is what the workflow should look like.
Right.
Definitely. This is what the user wants. This is how this is how they naturally say it.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I can build a Lewis model where I can say a big long sentence and I can be really tricky and do really tricky machine learning over
Right.
it. But that's not what users do. They say,
Right.
I want to rent a house.
Yeah.
And then you take it from there.
Well, and especially when you're communicating with the machine, you think about how people have changed language for search terms.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see why bots would be any different. You wouldn't say I want to rent a house. You would say house rentals,
Yeah.
right? Like you're doing what you would do in Google searches to a bot. And I think that's part of the challenge of programming that thing, is recognizing people aren't going to speak in complete sentences or don't speak in complete sentences.
I tell you what, I spent the last week watching Richard Morris interact with his Alexa show in the kitchen, and that was the first time I'd ever seen anybody use one of those things, and it was actually useful. Alexa, 5-minute timer, 5-minute timer. Call an Uber. Convert, how many Celsius and 350 Fahrenheit, that kind of thing. Just stuff like that in the kitchen. How many teaspoons in a cup? And then on top of that, that sort of got me writing. So I did my own Alexa thing. I was talking about it last show for music to flow by. And so I found that the model easy to work with, and especially Tim Hewer's Alexa.net with Web API. It's very easy to hook up a good back end to it that doesn't involve an unfamiliar landscape.
Awesome.
So it was cool and very cool. And you can just make your own sort of private conversations and skills that you can persist stuff in a database, which is what I did, to have a context and to have memory. And you get past a user ID, which doesn't change. And from there, you just have an identity and you can keep a context. It was really, really easy.
Awesome.
And powerful, and got me thinking about what I'm going to do next with that at home. Yeah.
Are we conjoining? I mean, there's the voice command stuff, and there's the chat bot stuff, which tends to be more text-based. I mean,
Yeah, it can be either.
Are we conjoining two different texts, or is it really in the end the same thing?
So most of my experience is with the Azure services.
Right.
And the way that the Azure services work is essentially you go and build whatever your enterprise API is that does all of your real work, talks to whatever your enterprise systems are. But then you go and build the bot, and the bot kind of maintains it maintains the state that then is talking back to those back-end services. And once you've got that bot, so we call it the bot connector, you then can just go and it's more or less tick and flick. I want to expose it on Slack, Teams, Skype, a web chat, text message, Facebook,
Cortana, Siri,
Cortana, all of those kind of things.
So text, but then there's also voice.
But then there's also voice.
Right.
So and that's kind of where a lot of the enterprises are getting into it, because they want to go, I want to stick a bot on my web app, but I want to also put it in my iOS app.
Right.
And when people call the IVR, and we want to say, press 1 for banking, press 2 for insurance, and press 3 for loans. But they really just want to build one bot and then surface it through different channels.
Yep. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to write it more than once.
No, definitely not.
But again, you get into interesting user interface problems. Like if you're doing a package tracking app, reading a package tracking number, whether you type it or speak it, like that sucks. A 16-digit number with a couple of letters thrown in, like the chances of getting that right in either scenario are low.
Then try doing it with an Aussie accent.
All
right, isn't that a problem?
It is absolutely a problem. I do a demo where, it's very easy to build a bot, and I'll start off and I go hola, and then it'll convert to Spanish, and then I say ciao, but then I say g'day.
That's not a word.
It's like, I don't know how to help you with that. So
do we have to declare Australian a language? Is that the solution?
I'm building custom models. Yeah, it's fine.
You just have to have slang vernacular filters.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. It's sort of an interesting truth. Well, and English is the worst in a lot of respects in terms of the accents all around. Although I did this stint in March, I was in Yakutia in eastern Russia, where it's all Asian faces and almost Asian accents, but they're all speaking Russian.
Really?
And so it was shocking to me. It's just to realize, well, we're all speaking Russian. I had a translator who was keeping me going. But there are accents to Russian. I'm sure there's accents to everything. It's just a question whether you hear it or not.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, English is spread. There's so many different flavors of English.
Well, the thing I like about the Google Speech API, which I did a lot of work with as well, is that when you translate, or either if it's an audio stream or a file, you tell it what language and what flavor of what language. So for English, you have Canadian English.
This means you put U's in words.
Australian, Australian, and Irish and UK, and like all the different flavors of English. They have a different, there's a different translator for that. So that's really cool. Whereas I don't know if this is the case with Bing Speech, but I didn't notice that there was a place to say, what my culture was.
Here, what it actually is.
Yeah. But and this is the reason I brought up the Aussie accent thing, is because I noticed that Richard Morris was having a hard time with trying to call Nuba.
Was he putting on an American accent
No.
to talk to the machine?
Oh, I don't know. He says, you say it. Call Nuba. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Call Nuba. Alexa, call Nuba. Here's Uba Uba Duba Duba from George Jetson, right? It's like, Alexa, stop. It's hilarious.
Yeah, his voice. At least when we were typing to our computers, we were frustrated quietly.
Right.
Yeah,
Now we're going to be frustrated very noisily.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's good answers there.
I don't either.
I just wonder, we started off with this whole, are we in the trough of disillusionment? As we climb into the reality of this thing, it's just a question of whether it goes away or it becomes a staple. Because I do think it can save companies money,
Absolutely.
And if you can really take your sort of tier 1 support stuff off of a human, so it's like 75% of the questions customers have get solved electronically, that's got to be worth some money.
Well, HP ditched 70% of their frontline support.
Ah, excellent. So we're getting right down to the brass tacks of we write software so people could be fired.
Can I?
Well, they say that they save 70% of frontline support, so now customers get answers quicker, and their support technicians can spend more time on tier 2 support.
Ah, okay.
Isn't that the?
Yeah. Crazy.
I realize, having been in the software shtick for literally more than 40 years now, it's like we have always been responsible for automating work.
Yeah.
It's semantics as to whether that actually, got someone laid off versus another person never got hired. But it's that kind of semantics. But it feels like, we're coming to a point where it is very, very clear about the impact on work for a lot of this kind of automation. And these bots are pretty direct. Like, that is a mappable job. It used to be a person that answered the phone.
Right.
And now it's a piece of software.
And it's a crappy job, but some people, that's it. That's all
their
they
work.
have.
Right.
Yeah. Can I take a minute and show off my Alexa skill?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool? All right, so here we go. This is on my Samsung S8 Plus. Alexa, play music to Flow By.
I know that one. That's blue.
Yeah? Huh? Yeah?
Ooh.
All right. Next. I did next. That's the next one.
Is it orange? Why do I know this? I think it's orange. Yeah.
All right, well, anyway. Alexa, stop. I thought that was pretty cool. Tim
It's
Hewer.
very cool.
Yeah,
Tim
that's
Hewer helped me with
Alexa.net.
that. Yeah.
Is it a bot?
Well, on the back end, yeah. On the back end, it's a bot that has a voice interface. But what I did was I abstracted away what it actually does from the interface. So, and I think that's a really smart thing to do anyway, because the back end is the bot, right? The thing that takes some text coming in and gives you some text coming out, that's your bot.
Right.
It's kind of the front back end.
Yeah, the front half of the back end, sure.
Because I think that's the thing is you're going to have behind that, you're going to, so I'm in enterprise, I'm in the enterprise space. So it's kind of that, I kind of think people are going to go and they're going to have, whether you're building, it's the same thing we've been saying around, Angular and React.
Yeah.
The important thing is you need a really solid API that exposes all of your services.
Sure.
And now we've kind of got a layer. It's just
another layer.
Yeah, that's your front. It's kind of the front
Yeah.
end that accesses that you go through to then get through to that.
Well, and you probably went through this process when you added a web interface onto your internal application, when you added a mobile interface onto your internal application, and now it's just a chat interface. Like if you've done your work on the services side, it's just yet another exposure to the API.
Speech as a UI.
It's the new Angular or the new React or whatever and then whatever the next interface is.
But the next one's going to be. Have you actually done these sort of pop up on a web page type bots that customers, hey, is anything I can help you with?
No.
Oh God, I hate them.
The only thing worse than those things popping up is making the mistake of typing to them. Like it's like answering a phone where you're not expecting the call. There's no call you want that is coming to you out of surprise. The chances of that being
The world didn't learn from Clippy.
Clippy was the first main bot.
It
was
was
the original bot.
or was it
original bot.
Bob?
Well,
Microsoft Bob, maybe.
Bob didn't go. You know, the thing is, Clippy shipped for a few years. I think
right.
Bob sort of popped up, went, oh, sorry, and went away.
The funniest thing I ever heard about Clippy was when Clippy died, right? It's like, hey, is that a business or a personal grave you're digging? I'd like to help you with that. What's that for?
You almost wonder if it couldn't make a comeback. You know, the
it
body
may.
side of working on a document in general. Just that whole,
I don't know. There might be too much old pain at Microsoft around that for them to bring back
I think I like the dog
Well, the
better
Cortana
anyway.
is really.
In a lot of respects.
It would be great to have
So as long as it's a Halo character is acceptable.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yeah.
One little thing from Staples, not good
A
enough.
smiling paperclip.
Yeah, not good enough.
Nope.
No,
Too
can't do
happy
that.
for an office supply.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
So what's next for you, Adam?
What's next for me? I think taking bots has kind of got me into that next UI, and that kind of drew me down the conversational path, and that kind of really ties in really tightly with using a lot of the cognitive services. It's I'm not a deep machine learning guy. I don't want to. I work with those guys, and they're freaks. Like you got to be a special hardcore. That's a special skill.
It's its own glossary, you know, a whole other set of language and way to think and so forth. Like it's not a small commitment.
No, but you can do amazing things with just the cognitive services, RESTful APIs.
True.
Right.
So I think tying all of those things together with there's more and more IoT. The last 6 months, lots of really interesting IoT scenarios coming around.
Yeah.
So kind of tying in that I want to be hands off, I want to have devices, I want to be disconnected and using machine learning. And that's why I kind of went, it's got to be on drones, doesn't it?
Well, certainly a way. It's just a question of whether it has to be a flying drone because of all the hazards and the noise. And
Absolutely.
now that we have the waterfront thing, I'm sort of thinking about an underwater drone. Like and go down and sort of check the crab trap.
Otter cams.
Yeah, I don't want the otter to steal the flipping thing, but
Yeah,
I would like to go.
it.
I'm lazy enough that I don't actually have to go out in the boat and pull the crab trap up. If I could just drive a sub out, check the trap, go, oh, there's food in here, and then go and get it.
Wait a minute. You have crab trap?
Yeah, sure.
So for like the beautiful crabs that you have out there, what are they?
Dungeness.
Dungeness.
Yeah.
You catch
Wow.
Dungeness crabs right off your
Yeah.
house. When am I coming over for dinner?
I don't
man?
know. They're delicious. But
Yes,
the
they
problem
are.
is the whole. You go out. There's two problems. The first is, you don't know when you've caught a crab, but you only have so long before the crab is gone. Because we also have the Great Pacific Octopus, and they love Dungeness crabs, and they can get in and out of the trap no problem. So sometimes I catch crab shells. With a little note from the octopus going, "Thanks for lunch."
All right, well, man, Adam, it's been great talking to you.
Guys, thank you very much for having me on the show.
Really enjoyed geeking out with you. And we'll see you next time on .NET Rocks.